All right, everyone. So today we're going to talk about the 8th house in astrology. Up to this point, we've talked about the 1st through the 7th, and last time we just started to go into the top half of the chart. So now continuing with the top half of the chart, we're going to talk about the 8th house, a very important house. It's a water house associated with both Scorpio and Ophiuchus in astrology, as well as Mars traditionally, and perhaps modernly Pluto, and maybe other asteroids as well for that matter, or comets. And it's all about transformation, the 8th house. It's where we come from, relationships of the 7th, right? We became aware of other and the importance of the duality, the balance of duality, which is that cooperation and balance and harmony. But now we come up to the idea of maybe there's something more. Maybe there's like a third counterpart. It's that triad kind of energy where we become aware of the importance of balance, which then leads to transformation or leads to redemption, leads to sanction, healing, and feeling that spiritual liberation in many ways. So that's essentially what the 8th house is. It's all about transformation to some sort of spiritual liberation, spiritual connection, and redemption. So the key with this is that the 8th house is very much about really accepting and being aware of the human aspects of self, because it's really what we're redeeming here is really the very earthly, very human, perhaps even physical, if you will, or lower, if you will, aspects of the human experience or of the self. And so this, does take a tremendous amount of acceptance, a tremendous amount of unconditional acceptance, which is all about that watery energy. And in that way, though, once we have the acceptance for however we are, or however someone else is, right, then there is that transformation as a result. So this is the process along the life journey, but the houses are about areas of life. So essentially any area of life that has to do with these things are the 8th house. So you can see things, deeper relationships you can see from the 8th house. You can see anything that's transformative. You can see anything that's normally hidden or behind the veil or under the surface that can be brought into light. It's also about bonds, because again, that deeper connection from relationships, it's all about bonds, but it's not just with one-on-one connections, it's all bonds, right? So it could be our bond and even attachments to material things or physical things in earth that we're learning about having that non-attachment to, because it's through that non-attachment, that acceptance, that life changes and there's beginnings and endings and there's this transformation process that we find that spiritual liberation of the 8th. So you can see shared resources from the 8th. You can see any type of debts or bonds or things we're attached to in the 8th. You can see death itself or our perspective of death, but also our perspective of, it's really a twofold process, because where there's endings, there's always beginnings, right? So it's our perspective of the whole beginnings and endings aspect of life and anything in between. So very deep house. If you have planets in this house, usually that experience is, about these areas of life. So for example, if someone has their sun in the 8th house, this is someone that is just naturally focused and aware of these behind the scenes or behind the veil aspects of life. Esoteric things, occult things can all be seen from the 8th house. And so you want to look to see if you have any planets here, but you also want to see what sign is on the cusp, because that'll show you the characteristics and qualities that come through this area of life. And we have at least one sign, but sometimes we'll have more. Usually we have more. So you want to see how much each sign takes up. So for example, if it's Sagittarius, the way in which someone approaches beginnings and endings and transformation is probably in a very philosophical sense, or maybe even a very optimistic sense in that regards. So that's the two things you want to look at. Planets there, if you have any. Sometimes there is, sometimes there isn't. You also want to look at signs there. And then to get even more specific, you want to look at the ruler of that 8th house in terms of where is he or she located. So in this example, Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter. So you'll look to see where Jupiter's placed both in house and sign position. And this will give you a pretty good detailed picture. Then the next thing you can do is look at the significator of the 8th, which is Mars. So for everybody, so if you want more information on your 8th house, look to see where Mars is placed, right? Both house and sign position. And also Pluto, if you want to too, using the modern day ruler of Pluto, and any other comets, maybe like Chiron, would be useful as well. So that gives you a pretty good, well-rounded picture and pretty good detail in terms of this area of life. Very important, like I said, especially if you have planets in the 8th. All right, so I hope you guys enjoyed this. I'll see you guys all next time for the 9th house. Take care.